There was an idea to bring together... Wait, no, we've done that one before. So instead...
Hello there.
This is Star Wars Defined, a YouTube event organized by A Brown Table. Go check him out, featuring a ton of creators. I'm sure you're thinking that this is...
A surprise, to be sure, but a welcome one.
And the task we were given was to find the scenes that best represent what Star Wars means to us. And I thought about this for a while, and I decided to go with trying to make you cry.
You were my brother, Anakin! I loved you!
And just like Anakin didn't destroy the Sith but join them, I hope you'll join me on this Star Warsian endeavor. I was 9 years old when Revenge of the Sith first hit theaters on May 19th, 2005. My dad took me to see it, but I gotta be honest, I didn't really get how big of a deal this was for him. Like, I understood that it was an important film, but in that way that kids know adults understand why, but you don't really. I didn't really get that this was the end of nearly 30 years of waiting for answers, where Anakin finally becomes one of the greatest villains of all time, Dark Daddy. No, I'm not kidding, Lucas has basically said that's what Darth Vader means, and was awaiting across all of this time that culminated in this scene. So, I want to look at its legacy, how it helped define Star Wars, you might say, in two ways. George Lucas was once asked about how the prequels reframed the old films. They now seem primarily concerned with the tragedy of Darth Vader rather than the triumph of the rebels, and Lucas responded in saying, Star Wars is really about mothers and daughters and fathers and sons. And I think this understanding of Star Wars comes through most clearly in this scene. The script of the Mustafar duel is rife with references to the family dynamic. I won't lose you the way I lost my mother. Help me raise our child. And most importantly, you were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. Though it is framed as brotherly, I think it's pretty clear that Obi-Wan and Anakin's relationship could be described as akin to father and son, as well, if not more so. In fact, there are 3 previous references to Anakin describing Obi-Wan like a father in the series. And let's not forget that Anakin did all of this for Padme, the mother of his child, whom he promptly strangled. But Star Wars is the quintessential space opera, with its grand space battles, huge gorgeous locations, and emphasis on melodramatic scenes and characters. And in the midst of all of that scale, it's often easy to lose yourself in the grandness of it all and forget the stuff that really matters, characters and relationships. Which is kinda why I like this scene. For all the magic space wizards, Lucas brought the entire story back in this scene to family, both by blood and in spirit, through the tragedy of Darth Vader and the breakdown of this father-son relationship. But this scene has another legacy, a different legacy, one we should toast to, one that matters perhaps even more. The memes. I don't think any single property has had as many memes made about it as Star Wars, and maybe the prequels are just particularly memeable, but the high ground meme seems to have dominated the meme discourse for longer than any of them, and it is a beautiful meme. See, legacy is a neutral term. You can have a good legacy, or you can have a bad legacy, and the prequels certainly have a legacy. But Obi-Wan's line,
I have the high ground!
Kind of epitomizes what that legacy is, what people sort of thought about the prequels. It's a really clumsy line that is used to justify Anakin's defeat in what's otherwise actually a pretty emotional scene. You can tell Ewan McGregor put his heart and soul into everything around the end of Revenge of the Sith, but this line really just cuts it off at the legs, you might say. And this idea that having the high ground makes you undefeatable to a Sith just doesn't really make sense, and is trying to justify a really crucial part of the story when it could have been done simpler and nobody asked him to explain it, and if he does have to explain it, then is it really good exposition? Huh. I swear that reminds me of something else.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
It's heroin.
And is that really what you say at the emotional climax of the film? It's just... wait. Maybe that is the legacy of the Star Wars prequels for some people. Getting it kinda right, but then not quite sticking the landing. except instead of 5th degree burns, it's 5-star memes. And maybe that's okay. Because if we're going to talk about how Star Wars is remembered and the cultural memory and how it's discussed, it's definitely for the parts that didn't work just as much as for the parts that did. And in a weird way, the memes kinda make us love the prequels. Like, the bad parts aren't just coarse and rough and irritating, they do get everywhere, but in the best way possible. See, yeah, it's scenes like that that did define Star Wars, defined its legacy. And not in the way that Lucas wanted, I am sure, but it still made me remember the series, and fondly so. Because in spite of all of this, I still enjoy the prequels, maybe a little bit out of nostalgia, but is anything we loved as kids ever as good as we remember it? Well, one thing is, but most aren't. So here's to the memes, because I'll take 1,000 good memes over a goodish but unmemorable movie any day. This has been Star Wars Defined.